Aliza Landau was born in 1938 in Lodz, Poland. Her family, parents, Melech and Ruth Goldman, and brother Rishek resided in Ruda Pabianicka, a suburb of the city. After the Germans entered Poland, her parents decided that Aliza's father would go into hiding. Aliza, her mother, and brother were sent to the Lodz ghetto, but were unable to escape and join her father shortly afterwards. This marked the beginning of 4 years of wandering Poland for the family, hiding in different locations, and at times the family was assisted by peasants, Polish peasants. The family was almost caught several times, and at one point was forced to escape to a nearby forest. After several days without food, her mother left the forest in search of sustenance, but she never returned. Aliza's brother died of starvation, and she and her father were eventually found by a German patrol. They were taken together with several other people to a makeshift killing pit. Her father was killed, but Aliza survived. She waited for the night to come and crawled out of the pit and escaped to a nearby village. She was only 6 years old. In the village, she was taken by a Ukrainian couple who took care of her until the region was liberated. Her mother, who had survived in hiding after being severely injured, was able to find her after the war. They eventually moved in 1948 to Israel. Aliza is married to Yossi Landau and has 3 children. She worked as a kindergarten teacher. Today, she lectures on the subject of Holocaust and accompanies Israeli police and security force delegations, as well as Israeli high schools to Poland. And Aliza, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, and we're really honored that you're here and taking your time to share your experience and wisdom with us. So thank you. The floor is yours. Thank you.
I'm happy to be with you. My first memory, can I start?
Yes, please. Thank you.
My first memory is when I had my 3rd birthday. We were hidden by a peasant, a Polish farmer.
Maya, what are you doing? Don't shave like that.
And he came every night to feed us, to bring something to eat. And the day that I was born in spring, and it was especially a nice day, warm and nice, and the peasant said to us, come out from the place they are sitting all day. I want you to come out to have some fresh air. So we came out from it was a big barn or something like this. And we were hidden in one corner of the barn. And my father started to sing a birthday song for me. And the farmer asked, whose birthday today? And my father said, our daughter is 3 years old. He ran to his house and he came back with the most beautiful birthday cake. That's the story that I used to tell my children in my kindergarten near the Holocaust Day. And you know, children are children, they had a birthday cake. Was there chocolate cream? Or how many candles did you have? What was written on the cake? And I told them, I had cakes like this, what you tell me, during the years, but then it was a big piece of bread from a round loaf of bread, from the middle, the biggest piece. And also it was very thick. And the children were laughing. They said, Aliza, you don't know anything. A cake is a cake, bread is bread, it's not the same. And I told them, you know, you're right. But I was so hungry. I ate only once a day. And it was during the night because, you know, during the day, the farmer didn't come near even to us. He was afraid. And we were afraid. So only once a day, the evening, the beginning of the night, we had our meal. And here to get such a big piece of bread extra, it was really like a birthday cake. The memory I have after I am 4.5 years old, we have to hide by in a different place. Somebody came and take us from one farmer to another. It's summer. It's a very big field, and there are piles of straw over the whole field. And we are standing talking to the farmer, and suddenly somebody came riding on a horse, and he says, hide them quickly, he says to the farmer, because the Germans are very near to here. And you have to be very quick. The farmer called my parents and he said, I'm going to put each of you in the middle of a pile of straw. And you have to sit quietly and not to move, because if you're moving, the whole pile will move. And but I want to tell you, if the German will find one of you, they will find all of you, because they start to destroy all the piles of straw in the field. My mother took 2 small handkerchiefs, and he said to my brother and to me, I want you to hold it between your teeth. Because the German used to take something and to look into the piles if somebody is hidden there. If something will happen to you, or something will bite you, something will make you nervous, or never mind what will happen, please don't cry, don't make a noise. If you want to cry or you want to shout or to do anything, please, you hold the handkerchief and bite it very strong, so all your anger will go into the handkerchief. We went into the straw, and it was summer, so we had light clothes on us, and it wasn't so pleasant to sit there inside, but we must. And suddenly I felt something happen to me on my shoulders. And I wanted to shout, I wanted to cry, but I remembered what my mother told me, don't cry, because if you cry, the bad people will find us. And I was biting the little piece of cloth that I had in my mouth, and I didn't cry. After a while, we heard the German going away. It was very, very quiet outside. But it took a long time, the farmer to come and get at us from the straw. We started to wander from one place to another. We were hidden in places that you can't even imagine. In holes, in barns, under the roof. Many, many different places. But then we started to hear about the thing that the Russian army is already in Ukraine. And we are very close to the Ukraine border. And this gives us a lot of hope. But I don't know how it happened, but suddenly we found ourselves without a place to hide. And my father talked to a farmer and he suggested that he will make a hole in a big field of potatoes that he had. And we will sit in that hole till the Russian will come into Poland and help us. The farmer agreed and he made the hole, and the monument, the hole is ready. We went inside. He gave us a few sacks and an old, very old blanket and a little bowl from a mile. And we arranged ourselves into that hole. He took a fresh potato from the end of the field and put it over the place where we went into the hole. And we were waiting for the Russian army. But the Russian didn't come in. Didn't come, and one day, through 3 Polish people went into the field. They were with the Germans, and when they went over our hole where we will be hidden, they felt that the soil is something is different. And they start to look and they found the place that we can go into the hole. They saw some people inside and they told us to get out. We climb out and my father swore that the farmer didn't know that we are there because we didn't want to hurt the guy. And who gave you food? Who feed you? My father showed him the little bowl we had and he said, I went out during the night and I crawled to the pigs and I took food from the pigs. And that's what we ate. I don't know how he persuaded those people, but they believed it. And nevertheless, they took us to the farmer. Of course, he said, I don't know who they are. I didn't know they're hidden there. But they asked him to drink. They didn't mean water or tea or coffee or something. They wanted some whiskey or I don't know what. And every farmer had something that he knew to make alone, and he gave them to drink. My father was looking, maybe there will be drink and we can make some runaway. But they weren't drink enough. They took from the farmer a wagon with 2 horses and put us on that wagon and went to give us away to the German. We were lucky because they wanted to drink something more, and they they went to another farmer, took us down from the wagon, to, put us in the kitchen. They sat by the table to drink, and we were standing near the wall. After a while, my father saw that they are already drink enough, they are drunk, all of them. And he started to push my brother and me to during the war, the door of the kitchen. The moment the 2 children were outside, every parent took one of the children, throw us on the wagon, and they climb up, and my father took the branches and we ran away. My mother asked, where will we go? And my father said, we will go find a forest. The Russian must come in. It can take 1 day more, 2 days more, a week, but they have to come in after a while. And we will wait in the forest, we'll manage somehow. In Poland, you can find a lot of big forests. And we find one. My father said, I think this one is good. We went down from the wagon, and my father hit the horses because he didn't want that people will know that we went down there from the wagon. We went into the forest. We found a place that was a little bit more branches, more bushes. And my mother took from the wagon some sacks, and she put them down, and we arranged ourselves, our life between the bush. A day, 2 days, 3 days, the Russians don't move. And the 4th day, my mother said, we won't hold on without food. I am going to look for food. We had water because there was a little spring, there a little fresh water running. So we had water to drink, but we didn't have anything to eat. So my mother decided she's going to look after some food. She went away. A day was by, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, she didn't come back. We were very in a bad situation. Nobody of us could walk. When I want to go from one place to the other, I had to crawl. We could eat some leaves from the bushes. Not all the leaves are eatable. And excuse me, we used to take down from the trees. Sometimes we found some worms. This is what we ate. But nothing from this was enough. One morning, I get up in the morning and I saw my father sitting, holding my brother that was 5 years older than me, holding him on his hand, in his arm, and he was crying. For me to see my father crying was the end of the world. I crawled to him. I took him by his, I took something off his clothes, and I cried to him, "Father, why are you crying? Why are you crying?" And he said to me, "We don't have any more Rishek." Rishek was the name of my brother, and he starved from hunger. We sit there and cry and cried and cried till we couldn't anymore. And then my father told me, "I want you to listen very, very carefully. You remember that every evening when the sun goes to sleep, we hear a lot of dogs barking." Yes, yes, Father, I remember. "I want you to listen to the barking of the dogs. When night will come, you will crawl to the dogs, because where dogs are also people. People live there. You are a little girl. Some good people will find you and will rescue you." The last thing that I even could think about is to leave my father. My mother went away, she didn't come back. My brother died. Now I leave my father, I'll be alone on the world. I start to cry and I said to him, "I won't leave you. I want to stay with you, and what's happened to you will happen to me. I don't want to leave you." And then he said to me, "Listen very, very carefully and remember, you will go and you will survive and you will establish our family. We will build our family from the beginning, new family. What can I do that all those things won't happen?" My father, I was 6 years old. My father gives me a will. You will survive and you will build our family again. What shall I do? And I decide to pray. What can I pray to? That night won't come, because I was thinking that if night won't come, the dogs won't barking and I don't have to leave my father. I don't know if my praying is answered, but suddenly stood near us 3 German soldiers. Two of them took my father under his arms. He still held my brother on his arm, on his hands. And the third soldier took me on his hand, and we started to go into the forest. And I was looking in his eyes, and he looked in mine, and we couldn't take away our, what we will so binded with our looking. And then I saw from the corner of my eye, I saw a group of German soldiers, and 2 or 3, maybe 4 people sitting on the ground. I understood that that's the place we are going to. And when we came closer, I understood where we come to. We came to a place that people were shot. It was a big hall, and there were some bodies into the hall and some people sitting outside. Before it get dark, they told us to get up, arrange us before the hall, and the German soldiers stood against us. The soldier that held me on his arms didn't stay near to me, but then suddenly he got out from his place and he came to stand near me between 2 other soldiers. I took my father's leg and I hold him very, very strong to my heart. I heard something shouting in a language that I don't understand, another shouting and a third shouting, and then there was shooting. We fell into the hole. First thing I thought, it's very different. It's to be alive and to be dead. It looked like the same. Then suddenly I thought, I am not dead, I'm alive. But I knew that I don't have to move because I heard the soldiers outside talking between themselves. Then I heard them moving. And I still was afraid even to open my eyes. At last I opened my eyes and I saw that it was dark outside. And I started to crawl out from the hole. Somehow I managed to get myself out. And I said to myself, try to remember what Father told you. My father told me, listen to the dogs. And I heard the dogs barking and I started to crawl. Till I heard some people talking Polish and I crawled to them. When I was near to them, they thought that I'm an animal from the forest. But then one of them said, no, it's a child, it's a child. They took me to the farmer, to the kitchen of the farmer. They gave me a little potato to eat, but I couldn't eat because all my system was unable to digest. There was a family in that village that didn't have children, and they took me to their house. And the woman made a egg yolk with a little bit milk and sugar or honey, and mixed together and gave me a little bit on the on the spoon, a little bit every day, every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, and then a little bit more and more and more. So for 2 or 3 days still I could talk, because I couldn't talk also. And I told them about the whole with the people, and I said to them, maybe there are other survivors. They want to look after maybe other survivors, but then the Russians at last went from Ukraine into Poland and start to push the Germans back to West, back to their country. And after a few weeks or months, Lublin was the big city from the area, was liberated. And the people from Lublin start to come to the villages for food. The woman from Lublin came to our farm. She asked for eggs, for vegetables. We had the same day I made in the morning free, fresh butter. So she was very happy with it. And she paid and went away. The day after, we went to visit a grandfather in the village. And at noon, suddenly the farmer came back and he says, somebody is looking after the girl. Okay, if somebody is looking, we went back to our house. And I said, somebody will come and he will say that he knows me, that I am family or something. I didn't want to leave those people. They loved me, they took care of me, and I didn't want to leave them. So I decided that the moment I come into our house, I will say, I don't know you, I don't want to go with you. And I come to the place, I ran the 3 stairs, opened the door and wanted to start to shout. But I saw near the window sitting my mother. The woman that came to buy food from us the day before worked with my mother in the hospital in Lublin. And she met her and she said, I was in a village. There is a girl there. She is not belonging to those farmers. More than 100%. She looks very like you, and go to see if that's your daughter. And that's how I met my mother. Of course, she told me why she didn't come back. And she took me to Lublin, and after a few months, in May 1945, the war was over, and we went back to Lodz, and we start our wandering all over Europe, but on the end, we came to Israel. Before it was called Israel, the British still were here, and I did what my father asked me. I built our family together with Yossi, my husband, my 3 children, my 7 grandchildren. And this is my triumph on the Nazis. Thank you.